Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. This is a character build, and I've got a guest today. This is Simon.
I've been tricked into this.
Yes, he has. So this character build is, what is it going to be called?
Okay, so this is going to be Botticelli. He's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Tortle. And I designed this build because Fred was like, think of some build. I'm like, what am I going to build? And then I was reading through a monk guide trying to work out how you could possibly make a monk and what they were to do with anything. And the monk guide stated that you could make a strength build monk. And I thought, that's insane. And I thought, well, that's a real challenge, so I'll have a go at that. And I'm not saying this is the best monk build ever, but it's as good as I can make with a strength build. And it's also a Teenage Mutant Ninja Tortle, so there you go.
Yeah, I honestly never could get a strength build to work with a monk. It's always went dexterity myself. Alright, so what's the build? So what have we got?
Okay, so basically we've got a Tortle, as you might have guessed.
Your race, yep.
And that's the race, and its background urchin seemed highly appropriate. So there we go, and urchin, you pick up what stealth and a couple of good little skills like that, and also thieves' tools, I believe. So
yeah.
Kind of useful, but not entirely useful for this build because you're not a dex build. So there you go. So, but the urchin background was just you can't go past it if you're doing your Tortle, your mutant Tortle. Okay, and so the point bite.
Yes, what is the point
so, bite? So Tortles get +2 strength. They also get +1 wisdom. So I figured that was pretty much perfect for the strength build monk. So we've gone with 15 strength, and that goes up to a 17.
Yep.
And we've done Dex 13 because that's the minimum you need to be able to multi-class out of monk.
Yep.
If you weren't going to be multi-classing, you could put it at a 10 easy and save some points.
Got to do that for wisdom and dexterity anyway, right?
Constitution is 12 because that's as much as I could manage on this. I usually like to have at least a 14, but you know, things had to be fitted in. Int is 8. I mean, he's an urchin. He grew up in the streets, or maybe even the sewers, and so he doesn't know much. So I think an int 8 is appropriate here. But he's very wise. He knows not to touch any more mutagen. So he's got a 15 point buy, and then +1 for his Tortle. Gives him 16 starting wisdom. And his charisma, well, he didn't really talk to many people when he was in the sewers, so that's only an 8.
It's got dumped, yeah.
yeah. It's dump stats. They're wonderful. If you're going to fail with something, you might as well fail with an 8. Let's face it. Level 1 to 5, it's just take monk, because as far as I can work out, monk is all about ki, and you get to 5th level and you get stun. And that's very annoying for a dungeon master.
It is.
Don't you agree?
Yeah.
No. So getting the stun as quickly as possible is really what you go for. And so it's 5 levels of monk, and in fact, I think getting the dexterity save off the monk is better than getting the constitution save off the barbarian. So you go that first. So this is going to be a monk barbarian, by the way.
Right.
Okay, and then so when you're at 3rd level, you've got to take your archetype. And also there's a lot of abilities in that which use up a lot of ki. And ki is highly valuable, especially when you're level 5. You've only got 5 of them, and you really want to be using them all for stun as much as you can. Okay. So instead I went for the Kensai, which is pretty
based around weapons,
and based around weapons. So for a weapon, you're going to take the longsword, and you're going to reskin it and call it a katana, because obviously. Because a reason katana. Yep. And at 4th level for your feet, you take mobility. And this will allow you to dash in, hit people, stun them, and get back out again. And if you don't stun them, if you do stun them, you can stand next to them quite happily. And strangely, the Tortle has a walking speed of 30. I would have thought they'd have had a 25, but they don't. It's 30.
It's not very bad.
So then you get 10 extra 10 for mobility, and you get an extra 10 for being a monk. So that gives you a base speed of 50. So you can run up, hit something with a mobility, and then you can, or miss with mobility, and then that means you can run away without getting an attack of opportunity. So you can go in, try and hit, hopefully hit, run away, and hopefully the DM won't be able to catch up with you. Then at the next level, adding 2 levels of Barbarian would be really useful. And first level of Barbarian, you get Rage, which is really at the end of the day a great defense more than an offense. But because you're using Strength, you get to add the +2 damage, I believe, to each one of your attacks. So if you're attacking 4 times, then obviously that's +8 damage, which is still quite reasonable. But the next level is something that's even better, which is the ability to do Reckless Attack. So because you're going in, hitting, and then running back out again, then hopefully they can't get you in a counter-attack when they've got advantage on all your attacks against you.
And you get advantage on your attacks.
Yeah, so you get advantage. And the thing is, it's all about, Monk is really all about stun. You're not going to stun anybody if you can't hit them. So if you get advantage on all your attacks, then not only do you do more damage, but you're more likely to hit, so then you can try and stun something.
Right.
And I went through and actually did the maths on this. It's much better to raise initially your attack stat, which is normally dexterity, but in this case it's strength, because that way you'll get more hits and then you can get more stuns rather than raising your wisdom. Then you stun better, but you're not hitting as often, so you don't get as many chances to stun, even though when you do hit, it's more effective. So getting advantage on all your attacks means that you actually stun a lot more, because you're just hitting that much more.
Makes sense. Okay. All right. So that's how it works.
Okay. And so then I'll just go back to Monk, and then at level 10 you'll get your next feat, and that's when you take the feat Tortle Protector. Okay. And what Tortle Protector does is increase your AC by 1. I should actually mention here that one of the special abilities as such of the Tortle is that it continually has an AC of 17. You can increase that by using a shield, but you can't increase it with dexterity, and you can't increase it with armor either. So you're stuck at 17 AC, which isn't too bad for a monk. It's not brilliant. But when you get up to that level 10 and you take your next feat, which is Tortle Protector, then you get +1 AC with it, and you also can increase your strength or your wisdom by 1. So we're going to put it on strength, and so your strength of 17 will increase up to a 18.
The Kensai, 5 levels, and then 2 levels in Barbarian, and really at level 7 you're ready to go to do the majority of what this build is capable of doing.
Yeah, that's right.
So you don't have to wait until you're level 10 or 15 or 20, which you may never ever get to play anyway. So that means weaknesses for this thing. There's obviously, like most builds, it's always going to be flying creatures. Then you've got your ranged spells, probably are going to be causing a whole bunch of trouble for it.
Yeah, with the ranged spells, eventually you'll pick up the monk's evasion, which is at level 7.
That's only going to deal with dexterity saving throws.
That won't be so good for this build because you're a strength build.
Yeah, and probably volleys. It's not going to be much good just firing one ranged weapon at this thing because of the different things that are available, such as being able to catch friggin' arrows out of the air and deflect them, and then of course that Tortle feat's going to cause a whole bunch of trouble if they start preemptively expecting to be hailed with volleys of arrows. So multiple arrows or ranged attacks, flying creatures, and that's probably about it in terms of the weaknesses with regard to that class.
Yeah, one thing about the monk is usually quite good at staying alive. Its problem is doing stuff.
You can't drop it and you can't burn it.
Yeah. The big drawback again is it's got to be melee, because your stun is melee. It's not with your bow and arrow. Yeah. To raise the AC a bit, that's why I went Kensai. Mm-hmm. When you attack, if you make one attack with your natural weapon, then you gain +2 AC, which is quite a bit for a monk. And the other thing with the Kensai is it does give you a kind of okay ranged attack, and this is another drawback of being a strength build, because instead of having all your attacks key off one stat, namely your dexterity, you're not going to be as good at ranged attacks. And but you do get to use a longbow as a Kensai weapon, and then as a bonus action you can add 1d4 damage to both of your attacks with that weapon, which isn't brilliant, but it's pretty much better than what most other monks get.
We've covered how to build it, what it does well, and how to sort of counter it and what its weaknesses are.
Yeah, and it's as much, the thing that you've got to remember is it's as much an entertaining build as more so an entertaining build than a min-max build. It's a build which you should have fun with.
Yeah. So hopefully you found this useful, interesting. If you did, great. I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters, which you're welcome to go and check out if you want to. If you want to support the channel so I keep doing videos, or in this case, so Simon keeps hanging out with me and doing these videos, then please consider checking out my Patreon page. I also have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon. Watching my videos is kind of really important, or at least the videos that I'm hanging out with Simon, and that will help sort of make sure we keep doing these sort of things. I also have a merchandise shelf. Make sure to share, like and subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. That happens quite a lot. And hey, till next time, thank you Simon. See you later. Keep rolling those 20s.
Goodbye.